Hi, it's Simon Hobbs here from FreeSource, or Sci, or Sime, or Simesy. Today I want to have a look at this a DDEV plugin called XHGUI, and it basically provides integration using DDEV with XHProf, which is PHP profiling. So why am I looking at this? I'm looking at this because I'm doing local Starshot development, and so I'll just do a login here in my local development environment, and we'll go and have a look at what I thought was a bit slow. So I'll grab this URL, jump over here. So this is the GitHub home for the plugin. So let's just open up a new tab. Okay, so I'm looking here at the project browser, and I want to go over here to Drupal.org mocked. And what I'm finding is that this is just a little bit slow. So you can see here, I just clicked that and it took that long for that to load. But if I jump over to other pages of the site, they're really actually quite fast. So let's have a look for something like a field group that doesn't really have any dependencies. Should be pretty easy to install. Field group layout, field group label, field group bootstrap, field group. So if I click on add and install here, so what that's doing is it's checking the validity of the file system. It's running composer commands like composer validate, and it's setting up a staging area to do this a safe build of the local site with that extra dependency, and that takes a while. Okay, so you can see I've got a working local environment, but I still have this problem where every time I kind of click on modules, something's a little bit slow. So I'm going to jump straight to where the problem is. So in this call here, where locally it's saying, hey, validate that we can install things with Composer on this site, and then it's running this run status check, and that does, and so that's doing a bunch of stuff, that's checking the file system and so forth. Now, as you can see, if I open up browser controller, so this is the actual project browser, and this is the rendering part of the project browser here. So you can see that it's got a whole bunch of Drupal settings, and one of those settings is it's calling validate package manager here. Okay, so that basically every time that gets every time the Svelte app is generated, it's running all of this, and it's also running this. So I suppose so I knew where the problem was, and I was able to kind of like muck around with code and find out that was the problem. But I kind of wanted a more objective way of showing that was the problem. You know, maybe it was my local development environment. You know, maybe people are like, oh no, it's fine for me, because that happens as well. So let's now jump over and say, well, how can I objectively show that? How can I visually show that? So let's jump over to this plugin. So we're going to follow the instructions in this DDEV XHGUI. So we'll come down to the first step, which is DDEV get. Okay, so you can see here that it's pulled in a bunch of files. It's pulled in this config, it's pulled in this directory and put a whole bunch of stuff in there. And if we do DDEV restart, DDEV will use all that information and effectively in the rebuild. So everything will be inside the containers that needs to be there. So while that's doing that, we need to install this Drupal module. FutureSci here, it's actually just a PHP package. Okay, so I'm going to require this package and add the following lines to my settings.php. And what's the lines we want? This. Chuck them in there. So DDEV had, when it restarted, mounted that file into the container, so that should now exist in there. Now there's a little bit of a bug that's been reported, and this should be 8143. So we jump back, and what we want is, so we want this URL with 8143, and that's kind of really the only problem that I had with this. So you can see some previous runs that I've got here. Let's delete all of those. So what I'll do here is I'm just going to, so our results are clear, I'm only going to click one of these. So let's click on, say, Ali paragraph tabs. Wait for that to load, and then jump over to the list. So yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to ignore these callbacks here, because you can see that like 28 milliseconds and 16 milliseconds. So what we're interested in, this one that was 4 seconds, and this is where we're kind of looking for our inefficiencies. So I click on that, and then I click on call graph here, and this is a big graph, so we just have to zoom out and zoom in again. Now if we take a big zoomed out look here, we can see there's sort of a couple of pretty big operations, but we see there's more purple in this side. If I go and scroll over to what this is going on, we've got, this is all the render pipeline stuff. So this is Drupal rendering the page. So it's rendering is very like nested and tree-like. So it's digging through all the stuff that needs to get rendered. But what we're really interested in is this purple bit here, and so we can see here we've got 4 seconds inside validate package manager, and then that scrolls into this run status check, and then if we start to inspect some of these things, then we've got the candidates here. We've got PHP Tough, which is what package manager, which is part of automatic updates, is using to do composer commands. And look, you can get more into it and you can look at the depth, the details going on here. However, I kind of don't really necessarily need to, because it's kind of pretty clear that I've got 4 seconds going on inside this method called validate package manager. So like literally that call to check the file system and then do a composer status check is taking a good 3 seconds. So you can see over here I've got my screenshot of that, just to support the case that I'm making, where I think that part of the process should be cached. It's not really the topic of this video, but you kind of can see that I don't really have to know that much about XHProf to kind of find those points that are bottlenecks, you know, because as soon as you find that dark purple bottleneck, you go, what's going on there? It's taking up 90% of my page load. If I remove that, is that going to fix anything? So just to wrap that up, if I go into the project browser, I've got a branch here for this improvement. There it is there. So check out that branch. So we'll go to list. We can go to browse. Now the code that I've got is caching that first call. So what should happen now is the rest of the calls are quite quick. Okay, you can see that. You can see now if I'm going through and clicking on the fields, it's actually quite fast. So the key takeaway from this video is that hardly any of this video was me setting up XHProf. So it's a very good plugin, very easy to use. Just a little bit of a tweaking of that URL and that port, but you should be able to get through it. And feel free to hit me up in Slack if you want to get any help, or Tyler36 is in there as well, and he's in the Slack Australia channel, so if you want to jump in and have a chat, feel free. Anyway, that's the video for today. Thank you.